everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I'm going to do this show on the recent documentaries about Lacy and Scott Peterson. There are two documentaries. The first one that came out on Netflix. It is pro-Lacy Peterson and anti-Scott Peterson. The other one is on Peacock, very pro-Scott Peterson. I wouldn't say anti-Lacy Peterson, but she doesn't really matter. Okay, because this is a defense case. Prosecution, defense. First, I want to welcome everyone back. Oh, before I start, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. This is an educational channel. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but if you're interested in criminal profiling and crime scene analysis, please do check the links below and subscribe to the channel, because that makes a difference to keep this channel going. I don't do gossip, and I don't do stuff for just clicks. So please do subscribe if you're interested in criminal profiling and crime scene analysis. And also check my playlists. And if you want to be in the chat room on a regular basis, this is an open live, which is rare for me, but normally we have two chat rooms per week. We have a hangout and we have the case show on the weekends. And so the community of Patreon comes together for those chats, and all of my shows go live after that. I'm sorry, all of my shows go public after that. The lives are usually just Patreon only, $5 a month, and then it goes completely public so that all of you can see everything that I ever put out, so you can learn something. I don't want people not to learn something if they don't have $5 a month. Anyway, I want to welcome everybody in the chat room. It was quite a nightmare. This show was scheduled at 7 o'clock. Verizon cut my internet 3 times. I mean, I've never had this happen 3 times in a row. And finally, I just gave up and had to go and restart everything. I have no idea why it happened, but there you go. That's what happened. So for all of you who have come back, I appreciate that. We had a large crowd at 7 o'clock and a smaller crowd now, but you can see and hear me right now. Can you not? That is the question. I'm just asking because of the recent disaster. That's the problem with lives. Some people won't do any lives because you never know what happens. If you do a video, you can control everything and you can put it up when it's perfect. When you do a live, all hell can go. Oh, that's what happened to me just now. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I had to cancel the entire other show because I was just disappearing. I disappeared 3 times over. And I went and checked out to see if my granddaughter had messed up the internet because she's there with her friend, and she actually was innocent. So I couldn't do that. Anyway, thank you for being here and coming back, all of you. And this, again, is an open public live. So this is not just for patrons only. It's for everyone. I wanted to see what your thoughts were on Scott Peterson case. Now, let me start out by saying this. My intention was to watch both of these documentaries. Now, unfortunately, they make them into series, which means they're very long and kind of grueling for somebody like me. It's like, oh, please get on with it. This was 3 hours. This was 3 hours. And my intention was to start with the defense first so that I would not be swayed by the prosecution. They're saying that he's innocent and he should have another opportunity. The Los Angeles Innocence Project says he should have a chance. He's been wrongfully convicted, 20 years of hell in prison. So I'm going to go here first because I want to hear their evidence. I want to hear what they have to say without being swayed by what has always gone before, which is the prosecution succeeded. Scott Peterson was convicted. He was on death row, and then because of a technicality, he got put back got life. But this, I knew what they were going to say, but I didn't know what these people were going to say. What are you coming? What do you have now? And why is it Innocence Project, the Los Angeles Innocence Project? And that's very confusing. It's not the Innocence Project, but it's the Los Angeles Innocence Project. Why are they involved? Why do they think this guy's innocent? So I wanted to give a fair shake. And now I will just tell you where I stand in the fact that I watched this show in its entirety and I ran out of time. So I never watched any of this show. That was not my intention. But I did want to give them the benefit of the doubt first before I just heard the same old, and maybe they have heard this is a great show. I've heard this is a great documentary that they really brought forth. Just everybody loved it. But then I expected that because that's been done before. This was new. Now, the person who did this, I want to tell you who this person was, the producer of this, the woman who got highly involved in it. Her name is, well, I just want to show you this. She tried to do a show before. It was called Trial by Fury, The People versus Scott Peterson. And as you can see, it was done in 2016. This is really weird. It's on IMDb, but I couldn't find it actually in reality. So I don't know that back then she tried to get this to be a successful documentary and nobody bought it. I don't understand how it got on IMDb without being any place. I could not find it. I looked for, where can I watch this documentary? Not this one, but that one. Nothing. But the woman who did that documentary, this is the woman. Her name is Shireen Anderson. She's a documentary filmmaker, and she was the person who did this one, Trial by Fire, in 2016, which I cannot find in existence. But now she's back in 2024. She says that she is, in case you wonder why my glasses are off now, it's because my eyes have problems and I actually do better without the glasses. Anyway, Shireen, I seemed to get involved with this many years ago. And I will say this about Shireen, just to be kind of fair. She seems to be she's done a lot of documentaries, and I haven't seen all of her documentaries. I don't know if they're good or they're bad. They could be excellent. She's won awards. I mean, she seems to be quite good at putting a documentary together. The question I have is, when she decided to put documentaries together, when she decided to get this was her choice, to propose that Scott Peterson was innocent as opposed to guilty. Did she do this because she believed he was innocent, or did she do this because she knew it would rouse people up and get attention and make money? Now, as a person who's been in a number of documentaries, I know for sure that a lot of production companies don't care about the truth. They only care about how much money they can make. So they will go out on a limb and come up with the craziest ideas in order to get people to watch a documentary. If it's something that's already been done a million times, like this person's guilty, they'll go for not guilty. If it's, let's see, like O.J. Simpson. He didn't do it. It was some other crazy person. And they come up with like, who? They don't care about the truth a lot of times. Not all documentary makers, but many will simply come up with, they sit in like a room together and they go, what do you think will make money? Oh, I think this will make money. And then they pursue that. They don't care about the truth. They want to present something that will get attention. I do not know if Shireen Anderson believes Scott Peterson is innocent, or she believes saying he is innocent will make money. But this is her second try at it, and this has worked as far as getting a very thorough documentary. And I will say this, having watched it, she's not much in this documentary. She does pop in, but very little. She presents his case, but she also presents the prosecution's case, which I was quite surprised, actually, because usually when you have a total defense documentary, they kind of leave the prosecution out of it as much as they can because they don't want to present the prosecution case. She actually had the detectives talk through the entire documentary. It definitely was pro Scott Peterson, but she allowed the prosecution evidence, determinations to appear. So it was more balanced than I thought it would be. I was kind of shocked, actually. So I found it interesting. So I did watch the whole thing because of that. So I don't know where she really stands. I do not. Now, she says this too. All right, Scott Peterson can now have video visits up to 15 minutes. All right. Oh, the reason he can, by the way, originally he was sentenced to death. And while he was sentenced to death, the Innocence, you would think that's the time the Innocence Project would jump on this, because they love to find people innocent who have been sentenced to death because they're against the death penalty. But in this particular case, it happened very quickly that some technicality took him out of the death sentence, and then he ended up in prison for life. And his own team kind of said, that sucked, because basically got ignored for the next 20 years because the Innocence Project wasn't interested in supporting somebody who was not getting the death penalty anymore. Fascinating. Now, recently, the Los Angeles Innocence Project has popped in. They apparently got a grant for DNA. And so, oh my gosh, this case has DNA. Now, it also has the potential of highlighting the Los Angeles Innocence Project. So I don't necessarily think that the Los Angeles Innocence Project actually is concerned whether he's innocent or whether this is a publicity move for them. And they got money, so they got to spend the money. I don't know. But I would just be skeptical. When anybody takes on something, question why. I particularly find that I've never been a fan of the Innocence Project. I don't think they care whether anybody's innocent. They look for a lot of technicalities to get guilty people out. And that bugs me. I think if they truly believe that they're only going to support innocent people, they should absolutely believe that. I don't think they do in a lot of these cases. I really don't, because I've gone back and looked at the appeals on these cases and found, yeah, there's no way in God's earth you think this guy's innocent. But there's a technicality that'll get him out. And so they go for it. So where she comes from, I don't know. But he's now able to get video visits up to 15 minutes. I want to say a couple of things about that. First of all, I'm always appalled when people who are convicted of homicide, especially premeditated homicide, are given the opportunity to speak from prison. Sorry, I don't like it. I think that once you're convicted, the only people you should see is the pastor, some person who's whatever your spiritual advisor is, and your lawyer. Screw you on everything else. I'm sorry. The family of the dead person, the victim that you are accused of killing, never gets to see them again. You don't have the right to see your family, in my opinion, or anybody else again. But that's not the way we work. In the United States, we allow them to go to have girlfriends and boyfriends and get married in prison and have sex in prison, and even if you're on death row, and produce children who have to now live with the fact that their daddy, like Ted Bundy, is a serial killer. You know, if you've committed this horrific kind of crime, and mind you, I will say serial killers are sort of worse than what Scott Peterson was accused of. Serial killers have no business ever having contact with society again. But we are so freaking lenient. So we have dating sites for people on death row. And then people who are in prison for life. We have dating sites, and people with issues hook up with these inmates and date them, and sometimes go there and have sex with them and then get pregnant. It's appalling. It's just ridiculous. But that's the way things are. So in this case, he's now, since he's not on death row, was allowed to have 15 minutes of video time with a documentary producer. So he could what? Not work through the system, not work through his defense lawyer, but personally go out to the American public and say whatever he wanted to say. I have issues with this. I think it's disgusting. However, I'm not saying I've looked at all of this. I'm going to go through all the evidence and see whether I find them have some validity in finding him not guilty, that he's an innocent man put in prison for 20 years and he has a right to speak up. I'm going to get to that. But here's my problem. Also, we hear that he is allowed to have 15-minute interviews. And what we see in this documentary, this is what bothers me about documentaries. And it's funny because he actually complains about this when he did a number of interviews back in the day before he got convicted. He would say, I don't trust you guys because you edit. Oh, but now he's doing these 15-minute interviews. I don't know, A, how many, And they're only pieces of the interviews. So I don't know how much our Shireen Anderson, the filmmaker who is doing these interviews, edited out. She softballs most everything to him. He answers and she can edit everything. So we're not actually getting solid 15-minute interviews where we have real questions where we can see how he's responding. So my opinion is on that, Shireen, that's her last name, sorry, Shireen Anderson, I don't trust you because you didn't put the full interviews in. You are editing, and therefore you can pick and choose what you want the public to see. And I will say this, however, what I did see was a guy who smiled and acted happy through almost every interview, which I found creepy. That's really creepy. So I'm like, you're talking to the public who doesn't trust you, but you're going through all your interviews. I have issues with that. Okay, I'm going to just check some of your comments before I go on. We have 96 comments here. All right, let's see. Psychopath time. I want to mention something about this. In this, somebody mentioned the profiler in this documentary, the Lacy Peterson documentary. And asked what I thought about her. Honestly, I've never heard of her, but she is. Let me see if I can find who she is. I did find who she was. Now I've lost. Sharon. Her name is Sharon Hagen. Hold on a second. Sharon Hagen. She is the profiler in this documentary on the Lacy Peterson murder, and it says here that she was one of the leading officials in the investigation of Lacy Peterson's disappearance and murder. The Netflix docuseries features Hagen, who brings a new perspective to the case and to the series regarding the heinous crime that was committed against Lacy. She now works as a clinical psychologist after dedicating years of her life to criminal investigations. Apparently, I'm told that she thinks the dude's a psycho. All right, so the dude's a psychopath. That she thinks Scott Peterson is a psychopath. I don't know how this. I think she's right. I don't know anything about. I didn't get to see this, so I'm going to say I'm in her court. This guy is a psychopath. There is that anybody would have a question about him being a psychopath is concerning. From the very beginning, everything he did, every behavior was psychopathic beyond the nth degree. And so, yes, that profiler, hopefully I'll see it at some point. I agree with her. If that's what she said, and if she explained it well, thumbs up to her. But yes, certainly. This show is nothing but talking with no substance. I just unsubscribed. I guess Brenda thinks he's totally innocent. So, bye-bye. Anyway, I'm brokenhearted. Anyway, so this guy is cringe and guilty as sin. All right, let's go back to the first issue is he psychopathic and did he commit the crime? Two different things, okay? You can be a psychopath and not have committed the crime. Or you can be a psychopath and commit the crime. So there's two possibilities here. Now, in the defense one that I watched, we have some other people involved. We have, this is the producer who said, the documentary maker. Don't trust me, but look at the evidence. No, I don't trust you. I don't trust you at all. But I will look at the evidence. Okay, I agree with that. This is a guy who says a lot of people are invested in believing Scott was guilty. This guy, Gudgel, I guess his name is, he's in this documentary, and he's been like invested with this. He says other people invested. He's been invested for like a decade, proving Scott Peterson is innocent. So, okay. I'm thinking you're pretty invested too, and I don't understand what evidence you're looking at, but okay. And then we have Paula Mitchell. She comes in. She's a Los Angeles Innocence Project. She presented the case in court, and she was trying to get DNA evidence, a whole bunch of stuff, and only got it on one thing, which was the duct tape or whatever tape was wrapped around Lacy. And she didn't get, I'll get into that in a little bit, the other evidence in this case. And then we have Janie Peterson. Oh my God almighty. Janie Peterson. She is Scott and Lacy Peterson's sister-in-law. She is married to Scott's brother. Let me say her name again. Janie Peterson. Janie, I don't know what the problem is, but if I were her husband, I'd be worried she's got a crush on her brother-in-law because she is obsessed with this case. She's obsessed with Scott. She thinks he's like the greatest guy ever, and she just unbelievable. I mean, I know maybe you want to support your husband who might believe his brother is innocent. Maybe you want to support your mother and father-in-law who believe Scott is innocent. But your obsession with this case is like somebody who marries Ted Bundy in prison. You are way past normal on this. And it's interesting that the brother, her husband, doesn't spend any time in the documentary. I don't see him. I don't even see the parents very much. She is like the voice of the family. So I think the parents and her husband would like to believe Scott is innocent. I'll get into all the evidence, but I think they want to believe Scott is innocent. And because they want to believe Scott is innocent, or even if they don't believe he's innocent, but do not like how it makes the family look. Families do not like to have people say that their loved one is a creepy killer of his own wife and their unborn grandchild. You know, they don't like that. They would like that to go away. They want it to go away. They want to be, they want to have the public think better of them because they raised him. And so I can understand where the family just kind of wants to believe what they want to believe. But Janie Peterson, what is wrong with you? I mean, you have been obsessed with this case for 20 years. He isn't even your husband. He's your brother-in-law. You hardly knew him very long. And you know he's a okay. Let's go to some of the psychopathic issues here. The family and this Janie, his sister-in-law, knows that he cheated on his wife while she was pregnant, that he lied over and over and over again. He lied and lied and lied, cheated and cheated and cheated. We're not talking about a one-night stand where, oh, she was pregnant and I was out of town and this girl, I was drunk and this girl came on to me and I just had sex with her. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Amber Frey, that her husband, who supposedly adored her. Oh my God, he said, she's my best friend. We had the best marriage. Yet he's having a long-term relationship with a woman he picked up during an out-of-town event. Now, mind you, that out-of-town event, oh, here she is. That's okay. So here's Amber, poor Amber. She was nothing's her fault. She thought the guy was not married. And there they are having a good time. They're even taking pictures together. Oh, and he had on his name tag, he wrote horny bastard. Okay. He's sleazy to begin with, but he's out of town. He meets Amber Frey, and he hooks up with her. But it's not just a one night stand where you could go, okay, he screwed up one night. He was drunk. No, he has sex over and over and over with Amber Frey. He lies to Amber. He lies to Lacy. He lies to his family. And the family says, well, stuff happens. We think Scott is a nice guy. He's a wonderful man. He loved his wife. No, that guy, nobody does that to the wife who's not a psychopath. Your son is a psychopath. Your brother-in-law is a psychopath. Get that through your head. Whether he committed the murder or not is another entirely different issue. But if you can't admit that this guy's a creepo of creepos, something wrong with you. Now, again, the family, the parents, I get that they're just trying to pretend that the denial thing. They just want to deny it. His brother maybe wants to deny it. But sister-in-law, what the heck is your problem? Why are you so obsessed with your brother-in-law who cheated on his wife? I don't get it. I think you're sick in the head. Oh, okay, that's just my thought on that. So I'll get to the evidence now. Okay. Yes, this is true. Amber is to be admired for her evidence and for helping the police. She came forward, and she also she taped their conversation. She was so appalled at what happened. She had no idea. She had no idea that this dude was a psychopath. I mean, she didn't know that. I mean, she didn't know he didn't. She didn't know he was married. She just thought he was this. He's a, okay. Scott's a pretty handsome dude. I'm going to go with that. He's in good shape. He's a handsome guy. You know, you're out of town, you meet this guy, he says he's whatever, and you fall for him. I get that. But then, you know, she found out his wife went missing. He lied to her, and she cooperated immediately with the police in taping all the phone calls and following their suggestions on how to get more information. I commend her, and so did Lacy's family. Lacy's family was totally cool with all of that. So yeah. Yeah. So, stepsister? I don't know about Scott's stepsister. I don't know about her. I only know about sister-in-law, and she thinks he's she thinks he's innocent. And I'm not trying to say I think, okay, if you check my analysis before, it's in the link below, you'll find out that yes, I've always thought that Scott Peterson was guilty, but I'm giving this defense a chance to change my mind. So I'm going to say right here, the dude's a psychopath. I can't get away from that. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't have the right to throw that label on him, but everything he does is what a psychopath would do. The dude's a creeper and a half. Yes, Amber was a victim. Absolutely, 100%. That's a good point, Eleanor. I can't think of a single case where a parent came out and said their murderous child was a piece of garbage. Actually, I have seen those cases. I'm really impressed when a family member will turn their own loved one in and say, "Look, there's something wrong with him, and we don't want him out hurting anybody else." I totally appreciate that. It's just fantastic. Just totally appreciate that. Let's see. Family of Psychopaths would be a good episode. Hi, Ben. Glad you came back. That would be interesting. Let's see. Good looks. Okay, this is actually an important point, Ninja Mama. Uses his good looks to get away with murder. People have difficulty believing that good-looking people would commit murder. They do. They want the Hunchback of Notre Dame. They want to. They want something ugly, and they're not getting the ugly. So therefore, they have trouble with beauty. To them, does not equal murder. So this is a very true. That's a human thing, I think. Very human. Super goat gazer. Oh, I like goat gazer just because we have a goat. He's a serial monogamist. Think he was responsible for other crimes? Like if a woman said no, not necessarily. I think you're thinking of Joran van der Sloot. Joran van der Sloot was not a serial killer, but he was a date rapist with a bad. He got mad when they said no. So he was a date rapist with a rage problem. And so he killed 2 women because he had a rage problem, and they turned him down. But he's not really a serial killer. Serial killer plans to kill just for the thrill of the kill. He wanted what he wanted, and when he didn't get it, he's like, or whatever, he did to each one of the ladies. Scott Peterson only supposedly killed his wife. This is what you call a situational murder. In other words, like many other situational murderers who kill their loved ones, I say loved ones with more quotes, they get tired of the role they're playing. The good husband, the father, they get tired of domestic life. So although, let me go back to what a psychopath says. People are, they don't say this. I say psychopaths think this. You are either useful or you're in the way. When he met up with Lacy, she was useful. She's pretty, she's fun, all that stuff. He got sex, and then they got married, and all was happy till they got into a domestic situation. Now he's got responsibilities. He's got to come home to her. Oh, sorry about this. Hold on a second. I'm getting stop. I have this on. I have my phone on silent. It's not very silent. Live show. Anyway, he probably got to a point. This is what the prosecution thinks and the detectives thought. He got to a point where he didn't want what he had. He liked getting a girlfriend. He liked getting married. He liked having sex on a regular basis. And then he got a pregnant wife whose tummy was big, and she was going to have a baby, their baby. But hey, so a lot of times psychopaths will say, your baby. And then I'm going to get stuck with that kid and you. And it's just too much, like, not the life I want to live. So they have two choices. They either put up with it or they get rid of the problem. You're either useful or in the way. At a certain point, she could have become in the way, and so could little Connor in her tummy become in the way. If you can get rid of both of them, you're free. And this happens with quite a few domestic murderers. They're not serial killers, and they may never kill again. But at that moment in time, they don't like where they're at. Even Drew Peterson, who I believe killed at least 2 of his wives. He was married 3 times. I think he tried to kill the first one. I believe he was convicted of killing the second one. I believe he killed the third one. He kept marrying and then getting annoyed. And so he wanted to get rid of them. And he got rid of, I think, 2 out of 3 at least. And he's not a serial killer in the sense that the actual point of the crime is to gain power and control by killing a completely unknown person, to have that thrill of the rape and murder or whatever the heck you're into, to have that moment for yourself. It's like you're just getting rid of a problem. This might have been Scott Peterson's problem. So his good looks got him away with a lot of stuff, probably because people couldn't think that he would do such a thing. Well, that's very interesting. Thank you for watching the Netflix show before I did. Illuminating Ink says, in the Netflix show, I heard something I never knew, that Scott said from the beginning he never wanted kids. That is a red flag women need to see. Very good point. I think the police, I did hear that a little bit in this show, that he wasn't thrilled about becoming a dad. And when you hook up with somebody, you better be sure that your vision of the future is the same. Because if it's not, then it becomes a problem. Not every person wants to be a father. Some people would like to be just a couple and have fun and travel the world and whatever. They don't want domestic life, and some women don't want it either. So always be sure, if you're hooking up with somebody, that you all have the same issue. Oh, I want to point this out. You have to define love bombing versus early romance dance. Okay, this is a really tricky thing. Love bombing versus romance. All right. I want to point this out because it's important as far as psychopathy goes. A person can fall in love and be very romantic. And those persons will want to see you and bring you flowers and all these things that they want to do. And most of us ladies, or whomever, would enjoy this aspect of it. Say, oh my God, you think I'm special and you want to do this for me? So love it. Psychopaths, however, do a thing called love bombing, which means they don't really love you, but they know some tricks to get you they want to pretend they do. And so they throw all kinds of things at you to make you think that, oh my God, this is the guy for me. And then the question is, was it ever true? Or was it just a methodology to a power move to get what they wanted at that particular point in time? And sometimes it's very hard to distinguish. And fortunately, sometimes the only time you distinguish it is way too late. So for anybody, here's what I always point out. If you're hooking up with somebody, here is my rule. Psychopaths are impatient people. They don't want to waste their time with somebody who's not going to respond or not respond quickly. They want what they want. They don't really care about the other person. So here's the thing. When they love bomb and you don't immediately fall for it, have sex with them on the second date, first date, second date, invite them into your home, marry them quickly within 4 months, whatever, they will move on. If you look at a sexual psychopath who's on the internet, they will go on some kind of chat room area. They will open up like 10 boxes They will be talking to 10 people at the same time. This one says no. He's like, this one says no. This one says no. This one says yes. He starts talking to her. So he only goes to the ones who say yes, because he knows they're going to be suckers. He knows he can manipulate them. So the thing is, hold back. If somebody truly cares about you, they are not in a rush. They respect you enough to wait and to get to know you and to get to know you before they have sex and all of this stuff. And if they're not willing, screw them, because they're probably not worth it. And you may be hooking up with someone you don't want to be hooked up with. Okay. All right. I'll give my speech on that. Let's go to some of the evidence. All right. What did they say about him? So I'm going to say he exhibited all the signs of psychopathy. He does. But yet the family and some people who are probably on right now or on this stream probably think that he doesn't seem like a psychopath. He's this innocent dude who made a mistake of having sex with a woman because he was like out of town. What did he say about that? Let me find the one where he said he was out of town. Hold on. Excuse me with a little picture. I got to figure out where it was. Oh, yeah. Okay, here it is. So here's the question. He said, I certainly regret cheating on Lacy. It was about childish lack of self-esteem. That dude really has lack of self-esteem. Get out of here. Selfish me, traveling somewhere. Oh, somewhere. Okay. Being lonely that night because I wasn't at home. It felt good because I want to have sex with you. That's what it was to me. Okay. So because I have low self-esteem, and he smiles at everything he says, I was out of town, and so I couldn't help myself because the girl wanted to have sex with me. But he didn't just have sex that one night. He established an entire relationship with her and lied to her over and over and over again. Also lying to Lacy over and over and over again. Manipulated two women at the same time so that they knew nothing about each other. She thought she had a good husband. And Amber thought she had a good boyfriend. And he lied like a son of a gun. He was telling Amber, oh, I'm out of town. I'm here. I'm there. He wasn't. He was just home with his wife. Again, I've often said to people, when you're going to hook up with somebody, make sure you don't have sex with them before you find out where they live and who they live with. Because they won't bring you around their family. They won't bring you to their home because their home has their wife in it. And their family doesn't. You can't have them find out. So now let's go to the day this all occurred. So one of the things they're saying, they have a few different reasons for why he's innocent. Let me think of what they are. Hold on a second. I'm going through this in my head. One is that just because he went fishing the day she disappeared doesn't mean his fishing trip had anything to do with her disappearance. Now, for all of you who have already watched so many of these shows, and if you haven't, you have no idea who Lacy Peterson and Scott Peterson are, stop right here, go below, click on my link to my analysis of the case, because I'm not going to go through this whole pile of stuff again. But I do want to point out some just major issues. All right, so let's see. Okay, I have little pictures. Let me see what I'm looking at here. Okay, so he said, let me back up one. Okay, no, we don't need it. Okay, so he said, well, this is, he's in the, he's being interrogated right now. And he said, I woke up this morning and Lacy had her plans for the day. And I decided, I think I'll just go fishing. It was a morning decision, he said. He didn't think about that before. However, he had a license for that exact day. He had to get ahead of time. So clearly, he got the fishing license for the day he was going to go fishing. All right, then he goes and fishes at this location far, far away. Now, he buys this boat. Now, here's one of his absolutely ludicrous lies. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a second. Okay. Over here. Oh, this is funny. He just says, we loved one another. We enjoyed one another. He just loved his wife so much. And he was like, wow, because I left a sweet message for my wife, they think I was just faking it. They must have really sad marriages if they think that. No, I think you have a sad marriage because you're cheating on your wife. I think the detectives might have a real marriage. Anyway, I digress. All right. Oh, so the question was, why did you want to get Ron, which is his father-in-law, I believe, a boat as a Christmas gift? So supposedly he bought this boat as a Christmas gift. And he says this, Lacy's stepfather is Ron. I really loved the idea of grandparents. And I wanted him to have a relationship with Connor. Mind you, Connor is this big at the moment because he's in Lacy's tummy. Connor has not been born yet. He is known to be a boy. So he's saying that he wants his step-grandparent, which is fine, to have a good relationship with his son. So he says, and that part of that relationship would be fishing, because Ron really enjoyed it. The kid wasn't born yet. I don't think a baby wants to go fishing. You're going to buy a boat before the baby's even born because maybe at 4 or 5 years old, he might like to go fishing with his step-grandparent? Get out of here, you lying piece of... That's just nonsense. Who does that? No, what you want to do is just have the step-grandparent around to hold your little son. Maybe he can give him a teddy bear. You bought a boat so that in 5 years he can take him fishing? That is the stupidest excuse for getting a boat I have ever heard of. But of course, that is not why he got the boat. He is telling Amber that his wife is basically no longer with him, gone, missing, dead, just before he buys the boat. Then he buys the boat. And then he says he made that decision early that morning to go fishing. But yet, wait a minute, hold on. Sorry, wrong one. Sorry. But he gets but in spite of the fact it's a sudden decision, he already has this fishing license for the exact day that he wants to go fishing. Now, check this out. All right, where does he want to go fishing? Now, mind you, this guy has his new boat. Never been in the boat before. Has no idea how the boat will handle. I've not heard that he's a great fisherman or a great boatsman. So if I get something brand new, what I try to do is do something real local that I can test something out. Maybe in the driveway, maybe in the local lake, or someplace close by that I can control things. Because maybe I don't know how the boat is going to act or how I'm going to handle it. But this is what it says here. The detective says, in Modesto, we are surrounded by reservoirs. He could have driven or drove 10 miles to put his boat in the water. Okay, so to see these places, Woodward Reservoir, Stanislaus River, Modesto Reservoir, Turlock Lake, there are 4 places within 10 miles. He can go check his little boat out. Now, mind you, we're not talking about a yacht. I mean, you wouldn't take a huge yacht and put it in a pond. I get that. It's not a yacht. It's a small boat. You want to test it out. You want quiet waters. You want to just see how it works. See if the engine's working. See how it feels. He had all these places, but he didn't go there. Where did he go? But he drove 90 miles to put his boat in the water. 90 miles in the bay. That's crazy. All right. So he wakes up. He's got a woman who's a wife who's 8 months pregnant. She could go into labor anytime. And she's had some issues. Supposedly, they've told her maybe she should lay down a lot to not go into labor early. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I mean, some of us like me, I was already out and about. I was in labor. I went to breakfast at a restaurant. I'm one of those people. So I'm not saying a Lacy needed to lay around, but a husband is usually panicked about, they're really worried because they don't understand how women's bodies work and they think something's going to go wrong and they want to be there. They want to be close by. At 8 months, my God, my child's about to be born. My firstborn son could happen any time now. It could happen early, and then the child, wow, I should be here. But no, Instead of going to the lake 10 miles away where he could be back in a few minutes, he's going to drive an hour and a half to put his brand new boat in the bay, which is a much rougher place to put your boat in. And so if anything went wrong, you're out. I don't even know if he had cell service out on the old bay, but if Lacy went into labor for some reason, had some issue, it would take him a couple hours to even get back to her. But no, he decides to drive an hour and a half just so he can put his boat in this location. He checks out the tides and all that stuff. Rather suspicious that he has any reason to pick that location. So that is one of the reasons he got convicted, because that was abnormal. That was totally abnormal. Now, mind you, her body ended up being found exactly where he went, an hour and a half away, which again proves that, hey, he probably did it. Now, if her body showed up locally in well, it could be anything. It could be she could have been a shallow grave in the woods. She could have been dumped in a local lake. She could have end up in a landfill. But no, she ends up an hour and a half away in the exact location he decides to go boating for no reason whatsoever with his first attempt with this boat. And then there's, of course, this information. He made concrete anchors. It's not a question that he made them. He did make them. There was one in his boat. There it is, a concrete anchor. Now, he could buy the damn anchors, but he didn't buy them. He made them himself. And when they went and checked out where he was working at, they found together there were these evidence of five anchors being made. One was in the boat, 4 were missing. I don't know, why do you need 5 anchors if you're going out in your little boat for the first time? Don't you need just 1? What do you need 5 for? Well, usually because you want to make sure whatever goes over the boat stays over the boat. Now, by the way, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard is that somebody, after they kidnapped Lacy, this is in the documentary, after they kidnapped Lacy, because the police told where he was at in the San Francisco Bay. Is it San Francisco Bay? Let me go back and look. What bay was he in? Sorry, I have forgotten. He's in the back. They say that somebody framed him. So the person who kidnapped Lacy had kept her around for, I don't know, a day or 2 or 3, dead or alive. And then, oh my God, it was there. So they drove that distance to dump her body where he was boating, because that would pin it on him. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. If they did that, why would they weight her body down? Because if you want her body to be found and pinned on him, what you want is her body to show up. You don't weight her down. As a matter of fact, you just dump her on the shore if you can. So the fact that she was weighted down says that the person who did that did not want her to be found. The only person is Scott Peterson, because anybody else who kidnapped her either would just have dumped her someplace else. But if they did dump her where he was boating to frame him, they would have made sure her body was found and not try to hide her body. That's stupid. So that makes 0 sense. And why does he have the 5 anchors? Well, because he needed something to weight her down. Now, another thing this thing says, it was brought up in trial, but never ever actually demonstrated, was that he would be unable in his boat to push her over the side without the boat capsizing and him going in. Okay. I don't understand the concept. Now, I'm not a boater, but here's what I would do if I were trying to dump a body. You got four of these anchors you're going to dump the body with to sink the body. Now, what you don't do is put all 4 in at the same, push her over at the same time with the 4. That might push everything over. But what you can do is push her body against the side of the boat, put 1 of them over, then maybe 2, and then maybe work her way to the other 2. Now, I actually don't know whether this would work, But I would be wearing, I don't know, I'd wear a life jacket just in case the damn thing tipped over. I could get back in again. I just don't know how this is impossible. And of course, Mark Garagos, who was his attorney, who I have zero respect for because I think he's a scumbag, explained elsewhere in many of my videos, is an excellent attorney, a defense attorney, like Jose Baez. If I were guilty, I'd hire him. But he never proved that, he didn't ever prove that it couldn't be done. So that's just nonsense. And so the only reason you go out there with four anchors is to make sure 4 of them put your wife and child at the bottom of whatever you hoped. Now her body did eventually show up at exactly the location he went boating. So either he dumped her or somebody framed him. Now, let's go to the framing issue. And then I'm going to go to some of your comments, but I'm going to ignore them for now, just so I can get to the framing issue. Okay, we know he's a liar, a cheat. And okay, this is, now the next thing is a timeline. He claims he left at 9:30 in the morning. And that therefore, after 9:30 in the morning, Lacy took her doggy and took her dog for a walk. And some people say she wouldn't have done it because she says she was pregnant and she had bed rest. I don't know if any of that's true. I don't see why an 8-month pregnant woman can't walk her damn dog. I mean, I think that's just silly. So yes, do I believe she could have walked her dog? Sure. I mean, why not? So anyway, she's off walking her dog. And he claims he left at 9:30. And then he knew nothing after that. However, there is a problem with the phone issue, that he may not have left at 9:30. See if I can find the phone issue here. Oh, where's my phone thing? Hold on a second. There it is. No. Okay, maybe it's here. Okay. He says at 9:48, he watches Martha Stewart at home with his wife. Okay. At 10:08, he drives to the warehouse. The problem is at 10:08, his phone pings like right there at home. So there is no evidence that he did not leave before 10:08. At 10:08. So at 10:08, he leaves the house. At 10:18, let me find her. Okay, here she is. This is a woman named Karen Service. She is their neighbor. She found the doggy running around with its leash, muddy leash, and she put the dog back in the yard. What time did she do that? Well, what happened was this. She had been to a store after the fact. And because she'd been to the store and there was a timestamp on it, they were able to determine that she found the dog running around at 10:18 a.m. Then she went to the store, which is when the time got stamped. So the last time that Scott was in the house that we know of it pinged was 10:08. 10 minutes later, the dog is found wandering about, and she puts the dog back in the yard. The only one that knows if Scott that Lacy was alive by 10:08 in the morning is Scott Peterson. Now, there are some concerns that the detectives had about Scott Peterson, and when they went and looked in the house, they didn't find out a lot of evidence. Okay, he had many strange behaviors. After he left, he went to the location where the boat was, did some email stuff, went off to he was going to go golfing, but he changed his mind. He went fishing, even though he had planned that, obviously. He goes fishing, and on the way back, he sends a text and says, "Hey, honey, I love you." Blah, 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 blah. It's all just gushy, gushy. And then he arrives home, and there's no Lacy. And he doesn't call her phone. He's like, "Oh, I wonder what happened to her." So he eats food, and he does this. And then he eventually calls Lacy's mother and says, "Hey, is Lacy over there?" He never calls Lacy. Why not? If normally when you come home and find your pregnant wife not there, the first thing you're going to do is call her and say, "Hey, where have you been? You didn't answer my email or my text. You didn't answer my text. Where have you been?" He didn't do that. As a matter of fact, her phone was later found, I guess, in her vehicle. Why would she leave her phone in a vehicle? He comes home, he finds her purse is there. So she should be home. But he's busy doing other stuff. Washed his clothes, da-da-da-da-da. And then he calls and asks Lacy's mother if she was over there. He goes to some neighbors and asks if they've seen her, but they never calls her phone. This is one of the biggest things. It says he knows exactly where she is. Otherwise, he'd be calling her phone, over and over again, going, "Where the hell are you? Why are you not answering?" But he doesn't do that because he knows what happened to her. So he has no reason to call her phone because he knows she's not going to answer. But all right, that's what the detectives say anyway. Now, we all know after that he just has strange behaviors. When they finally he goes near the Mexican border. He changes his hair. He takes his brother's ID. He takes $10,000 in cash, which now the family claims, his brother was going to buy his vehicle, so he gave him $10,000 in cash, because all brothers pay everything in $10,000 in cash in bills, and not just give him a check, right? Or transfer the money from the bank. No. He just hands him cash. And then his ID. And when he ends up near the San Diego border, he says, "No, I was going golfing at my brother's club, and I needed to use his ID because I wanted to cheat and get into there without paying, because I wasn't really actually me, it wasn't him, and I'd have to pay extra money. So I wanted to golf." Your wife is missing. Why the hell do you even want to golf? But your excuse is, I changed my hairstyle. I changed my hair color, took $10,000 in cash, used my brother's ID just because I wanted to golf. Get out of here. Nobody believed it. And that's why one of the reasons he got convicted. Now, let's go back to the timeline. So regardless of all that, in this documentary, what they're trying to tell you is that, yes, he has weird behavior. He was only doing things. He tells you, the reason I didn't show my emotions was because that's the way I handle things. That's why I go fishing and golfing and all these kind of things, like OJ. And I don't want to outwardly show things. So just excuse all of my very unusual behavior. Maybe it's because I really didn't give a crap about my wife. Maybe that's the reason. But hey, don't no. Maybe it's just me. It's just the way I act. I always loved my wife. I was a great husband to her. Everybody says I was. And therefore, now, although my behavior has entirely changed the other direction, I show no concern for her whatsoever. When a body is found, a woman's body is found where I was fishing with a little fetus, I think it's not her or my son. I'm just like, no, probably not. So all of my behaviors before no longer exist, but I'm innocent. All right, so let's go back to when he leaves the home. So theoretically, when he actually leaves the home, last he's known being in that home because of the phone ping is 10:08. The dog is found by the neighbor at 10:18. That's a 10-minute difference. Now, here we come into when you have the defense team and the family come up with this guy. They got this, let me see if I can find him here. Where is he? He's their PI. Where's their PI at? Lost his picture. I always do that. Who is this? Who is that? Oh, I'm just trying to figure out what this is. Okay, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the PI, because he's running around and I can't find it. Oh, there he is. Okay, I'm Gary Emmerlin. I'm their private investigator, and I talked to a bunch of people in the neighborhood, and the police didn't interview these people, even though they saw Lacy Peterson after Scott Peterson left the home. So the whole issue comes down to this, that after 10:18, the idea is that after that point, when the dog was found wandering around, something already happened to her. So everything that happened after 10:18 didn't matter. So there's this idea that there was this, across the street, there was this house, the Medina home, 516. That's the location. That's the Medina home. And these two dudes were burglarizing the place at the time. And they actually were. They were burglars. But the claim is that they burgled the home exactly at the time that Lacy came home with her doggie and saw them, and she confronted them. If you were an 8-month pregnant woman, would you confront a bunch of meth heads? Or would you run in your house and call the police? So the whole concept that she would actually confront people being pregnant, walk up to them and say, hey, are you robbing that house over there, is ludicrous to begin with. Now, nobody saw her doing that. Nobody heard her screaming. Nobody heard her being taken away. But this is the claim, that she somehow saw this burglary going down, and that's why she was kidnapped. Because she was available to be kidnapped at that time. Now, mind you, it turns out that these guys, according to the police, did not even burglar that home at that time. It was the next day. It wasn't even the 24th. And they took polygraphs, and they gave up all the stuff they had, and nothing ever linked them to the crime. So what the defense team now says is other people showed up. So it wasn't those two guys. It was some other people. And they had this van, you see. And they kidnapped her in a van. It's this van, maybe, because this van was found burnt up about a mile away. And in that van, there was a mattress. And on that mattress, there was blood. So they took a piece of that mattress and they put it in a test tube with luminol, and it turned out to be blood. Except that's not true. When it was eventually, mind you, let's see if luminol, it will also show urine and saliva. It's a mattress. I'm going to say on mattresses, you got urine and saliva, especially if you got people in the back of vans screwing around and doing whatever they're doing. That happens there. So that the luminol showed up, anything to that didn't mean it was blood. So what happened was it was sent in, and it was properly analyzed by a lab, and it came up with no blood detective. No blood detective. So there's no blood that was proven to be on that mattress. So this whole concept was that there was this house was being burgled. Lacy came upon it. She confronted these guys. They pulled her into this truck. They put her on this mattress, killed her, I guess, on this mattress. And therefore, that's the big DNA thing that the defense in this program is trying to push. Okay, it gets even more complicated than this. So the problem is that at 2:18, her dog is wandering around, which would indicate theoretically that something already happened to her prior to 2:18, but the family hadn't even left the house by then. So there was no way that she could have confronted these burglars prior to 2:18. I'm sorry, am I 10:18? Sorry, what am I saying? 10:18. Sorry, I apologize. 10:18. So 10:08, his phone pings in the area. 10 minutes later, her dog is found. And they're trying to claim that she was still alive after 10:18 in order for her to observe this burglary that didn't even happen that day, but that she could have been there. So what happens is, remember that guy that I was telling you about? That was this guy. Now he in the documentary, he interviews a bunch of people that claim that they saw Lacy Peterson. This is a huge thing. They saw Lacy Peterson walking around the neighborhood with the dog. Now, theoretically, if she was killed at home by Scott, she was never walking the dog ever. The dog was simply let out by Scott Peterson. So who are all these people that saw her walking in the neighborhood? Let me show you. Let me find it. I hope I didn't forget. Where is it? Here we go. All right. This is put together by the defense. I don't know if this Garagos at the time, but here it is. Now, supposedly, Lacy went for this walk, line A. So, all right, it's maybe a little hard to see. But there are 4 little, I don't know what you call this, red, green, yellow, and blue. People that saw Lacy. They saw her at 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m. on this lane. 10 a.m. This was before Scott was out of the house. If Scott wasn't out of the house, he said she was washing the floors when he left, which was, he said 9:30, but we know he didn't leave till 10:08, really. So who did they see walking the dog? These 4 people supposedly saw her walking a dog. Now, one of the people did claim, if you look at place mark 6, what is that? 5, that's a 6, 7, and 8. You see those little pins? 6 says Lacy returns from the walk and is abducted. So now she's been walking around since 10 o'clock. She comes home, leaves the dog and the door open, I guess at 10:18 somehow. And then she's abducted by the people from across the street. But at 10:38, Mackenzie, the dog, is barking aggressively. And at 10:45 p.m., she's seen in a park. Are you confused? I'm confused. Now, mind you, the people that saw her said she was wearing black pants and a white shirt, which was exactly what was on this missing poster. It says right there, she was last seen wearing a long-sleeved shirt and white long-sleeve shirt and white pants, although when she was found, she was apparently wearing, what was she wearing when she was found? Where is it? Right here. Oh yeah, khaki pants. Did Scott forget what she was wearing? But all the people who said they saw her said she was in black pants and a white shirt, because that's what it said in the get a reward poster. And the police, when you have to understand, when police get tips in, I can't tell you how many tips I get all the time that are garbage, 100% garbage. It's everywhere from psychics to attention seekers to I want to blame my boyfriend to I want money. Tons of these things. So supposedly he leaves at 9:30, but he really doesn't, because the phone pings at 10:08. So he's around. But suddenly, before he even leaves, he says that she went to walk the dog after he left. But if he didn't leave till 10:08, how was she wandering around the neighborhood at 10 o'clock? And then the one very, very strong piece of evidence, the woman who said she found the dog loose and put the dog back and has the proof of when she went to the store, 10:18. Now the defense is trying to say, oh, see, she was actually alive. When the dog was put back in her yard, she was actually in the house just hanging around doing stuff. She never was seen at 10 o'clock. What about all those people that said 10 o'clock? Okay, let's ignore that now. She's in the house. The dog is put back at 10:18. That's when she takes the dog and goes back out. Now, I don't know what 10:45 is, because that's in a park far, kind of a distance away from where the burglary supposedly went down. But now she's out suddenly with the dog, and she sees the burglars, and they decide, hey, a woman has seen us outside of a house looking suspicious. So instead of driving away, we're going to kidnap a pregnant woman and kill her, because that makes more sense than just driving away. But now if they do that, isn't the dog running around again? Isn't the dog now running around the neighborhood after 10:18? Nobody put the dog back after 10:18. How'd the dog get? Okay, so they have this postman, and the postman says he was there between, what was it? Oh, what was the postman deal? He was there for from 10:30 to 10:50, somewhere in that, and the dog didn't bark, and the gate was open. The door was open to the backyard of the gate or whatever. And he thought that was unusual, because normally the dog would bark. So clearly, if he didn't hear the dog bark and the gate was open, because I guess when she took the dog out, she always left the gate open, she must have been out and about. But if she didn't leave till 10:30, 10:40, 10:50, why are people seeing her at 10 o'clock? I mean, I'm presenting this all because it's all nonsense. They are trying to come up the messed up timeline in order and claiming that that she was kidnapped by some burglars who had no reason to kidnap her. A van that was burned up must have had her DNA in it, and had blood in it, which it did not. It was proven not to be any blood in it. They're making up stuff. So far we've got, he's not really a psychopath. In spite of everything pointing to the fact that he planned this premeditated crime where he planned the buying the boat for reasons which are garbage. He said he wasn't planning to go boating on that day, but he had an actual permit for it. He, instead of choosing to go 10 minutes away, he chooses an hour and a half away to go to a location which, bam, her body shows up at, because some burglars who could just driven away decide they're going to attack a 8-month pregnant woman to start a huge police investigation. And then they're going to find out where Scott went boating and leave her body there, but make sure they put it. I don't have to watch this show. I don't have to. Because this is the most nonsensical bunch of bullcrap I've ever heard. There is nothing here that supports his innocence. Zero. They came up with nothing. And the one thing they tried to come up with the DNA in the van is not even blood. So now they're trying for, the only thing left that they've got with this ridiculous nonsense is that now they're trying for this. This was wrapped around Lacy. This is I don't know, duct tape, whatever this hell stuff is. They're looking for DNA on that. Now, mind you, she was in the water for God knows how long. How much DNA would be on there? What would it prove? What they're hoping, I'm going to tell you what they're hoping. They're hoping that there's some degraded DNA which is so bad that it won't point to Scott, but it'll just be so degraded that it could point to maybe a few other people, and they'll say, we don't know who it is, but obviously it's the person that killed Lacy. That's what they're going for. Shame on you, Los Angeles Innocence Project, because you don't care that he's innocent. You just are trying to make a name for yourself. And shame on you, Lacy Peterson, because I don't know what your problem is, but you're a whack job if you believe that you've been spending all this time obsessed over your brother-in-law. What the hell is wrong with you? And this woman, yeah, I don't trust you. No, I trust the evidence. And I don't know, you made a lot of money off this documentary and editing your videos of Scott Peterson. So yeah, I don't trust you either. I did look at the evidence. Okay, I'm going to go to your comments. There we go. All right. Probably not, but you can always come back. It'll be forever on YouTube. Yes. Drew, Michael, and Scott, ladies, run if you meet a man called Peterson. That's for sure. Lex says guilty beyond all doubt. Let's see. True crime curator. Thank you, Pat, for saving me from the documentary. I have much better things to do with my time. You probably do. Let's see. Lacy did not walk the dog. She was already dead, probably. But the claim by the defense is always that she was out walking the dog. Now, here's another interesting thing. There's two places she could have gotten kidnapped walking the dog. One is confronting a bunch of burglars, which is ridiculous. What's interesting to me is they never came up with the concept that she could have gotten kidnapped while all these people saw her walking around. Why couldn't she have just been kidnapped off the road and then the doggy ran home-ish? Why not that? Well, my guess is because, generally speaking, serial killers don't really like pregnant women, not 8-month pregnant women. They're just not their idea of a good time. I remember very clearly when I was in California once, I was 8 months pregnant and I was wearing this little sundress and I was walking down the street, my little butt swaying, and this car slowly pulled up. And it slowly pulled up next to me. And as soon as he got by my side and he saw my stomach, whoom, he was gone. Serial killers aren't into pregnant women. Okay. So I think the defense team said, look, we're never going to sell this, that she was kidnapped while she was walking the dog because she was so pregnant. So we're going to have to go with a different theory, that she pissed off these burglars. They thought she was going to rat them out. So they kidnapped her because they didn't want to go to prison. So that was their story. Oh, really? This, I don't remember this. Illuminating Ink says there was a bad storm and no one was on the water. People who saw him said not to put the boat out. I'll tell you this. If you go back and look at my original analysis, I may remember more than I do now. It's been many, many years since I've done the original analysis. Well, maybe it's only been 3, but it feels like many years. It's because, you know, when I work on a case, when people say, "Hey, can you analyze this case?" I then focus on it and I do all my research and then I do the show. But once the show time is gone and a couple of years passes, I can't remember anything. So people are like, "Oh, Pat, what do you think of what happened at 1 p.m.?" I'm like, beats me. It's like, you should have asked me that like right after I put the show on YouTube. I don't know. So I don't remember that, but that's interesting. Let's see. What? When people are looking to burgle a house and they see a baby that might be worth money, yeah, I think a meth head might think that's a good idea. The baby was inside her. Do you think that was a good idea? What, were they going to take her away and make her have the baby and then sell it? Get out of here. Meth heads don't have that much energy. I mean, they do have energy, but not for long-term thinking. Oh, no, that's not necessarily so. Caitlin, he managed to be on the bay the same day the robbers managed to also drop off Lacy. No. The defense is claiming that they may have kept her kidnapped for a couple of days, or they may have killed her and just kept her body for a couple of days. And after the news media and the police put out that Scott was fishing at this particular location, then they went, "Oh, eureka. Now we can kill her and dump her there and frame him." Or, "Oh, look, this body that we kept around for 3 days, we can now get rid of it and frame him." So it wasn't that it was the same day. It was that they kept the body or her alive for a few days. No. What? They're not going to, no. Okay. Yes, this is true. Nancy, don't think criminals would abduct a very pregnant woman knowing the attention it would draw. This is very true with so many cases. When a person is going to kidnap somebody, they prefer homeless, runaway, prostitute, or a kid of a drug addict, somebody who's not going to, they're going, police are going to go, "Yeah, what'd you do with your kid?" "I don't know, I was out, I don't remember the last 5 days. I don't know where the kid is." They're not going to pick, like the Madeleine McCann case, they're not going to pick vacationing Britishers and decide to kidnap their child so that they can have a massive police investigation because they're bringing their child into some sex ring. No, there's a ton of kids out there who parents won't even notice they're missing for a while. Take those kids. So no, it's just no real good reason to do that. I mean, people who burgle a lot. They, most of the time, they're thinking they're not going to be identified anyway. So let's say Lacy saw the vehicle and they drove away. Will she remember the vehicle's license plate? Exact information to be able to identify who the burglars were. If they can dump the stuff and say we were never there. And then let's say they were actually caught. These days, people get, and they maybe get a few months, you know what I mean? And they're out already. So they'll take some plea bargain. They'll hardly get any time. You think we're going to kidnap a pregnant woman, start a massive police investigation, and deal with that, a homicide of a pregnant woman? It's just not reasonable. I mean, even if you're on meth, it's kind of stupid. So yeah. Jacqueline says, pretty fishy, pun intended, that Lacy's body was found where Scott went fishing. Yeah, pretty fishy. Let's see. Oh, hell no. Stop this. Why are you doing that? I don't know who you are. True crime matters, but you're full of it. I think a lot of people don't realize open adoption is illegal. Possibly somebody thought the baby was worth money. No, this is retarded. You if you have a channel, I would suggest people don't go there. Sorry, that's just nonsense. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. He leaves his wife on Christmas holiday. He has a mistress. Scott tells the mistress it's his first year without his wife. That just screams, I don't want my wife. Yeah, he's already saying his wife is no longer with him before he commits the crime, which I believe he committed the crime. I mean, yeah, okay. Lacy didn't walk the dog, let alone mop the floor. He killed her that night before, in my opinion. Oh, I had a picture, which I probably lost. Let me see if I can find it. I did lose it. Okay. And people always have a shot when I lose my pictures. Go ahead. Anyway, they found a drop of Scott's blood on the comforter, or what do you call the quilt thingy, on the bed, and they found this area that was compressed, like a real dip near the end of the bed. Their theory there was that was where her body was, because with her, as pregnant as she was, especially if her tummy was on, she was laying down this way. He pushed her onto the bed, possibly smothering her. Now, mind you, this is what's called a soft crime. There's not stabbing, there's not shooting, there's not going to be blood exploding all over the place. When your person is suffocated, it's one of the more difficult crimes to prove. So you push a person down and they can't do anything. So therefore, there's very little evidence left. And so you can't, when you go to see the crime scene, what is it? A person has been smothered. Now, obviously, it leaves her body there for long enough, the cadaver dogs will hit on it. But if you remove her body immediately, wrap her up in some, whatever you're wrapping her up in, and put her in your vehicle and do whatever you're going to do, there's things you can do to prevent the scent from existing at that point, and put her in a tarpaulin of some sort or whatever. But the more likely way she died was being smothered. When she was smothered, I do not know. Was it the night before? Was it the morning thereof? I don't know. But she could have, it's possible when he was smothering her, she could have scratched him, and that's why it was one drop of blood from him. She could have been on her back, but it looks more like it's that kind of thing. The police cannot prove exactly how she died. There's no cause of death because her body was in the water too long, and there's no cause of death because there's no gunshot bullet hole into the cranium. There's no stab wounds where you see where they were stabbed, and you see like cut marks on ribs or whatever. Usually, when you have that kind of thing, a person's either been strangled, suffocated, poisoned. Well, it depends whether they can even get that information from the body. But the body's been in the water a long time, and it covers up a lot, which is why you want to weight it down with these anchors so that the body is not found, so you can't prove what happened. So there was a crime scene, but the defense says, well, that's not much of a crime scene because you can't prove exactly what happened. No, you can't. But the totality of the evidence, which is what they're trying to ignore, the totality of every one of Scott Peterson's behaviors, the totality of the evidence is extreme. It's a lot of it. It's circumstantial, but it's not like one piece of circumstantial evidence where you could just say, well, that could happen to anybody. There's so much circumstantial evidence, from the fact he was cheating on her, the fact he was telling his mistress, or poor girlfriend, I wouldn't call her mistress, it's not her, poor Amber, that his wife was already bye-bye. And then she goes bye-bye. And then he claims he's going to go golfing, but he ends up going fishing, far away place where the body eventually ends up, where he's got evidence of making anchors, where his behavior after the crime is questionable. Every single thing he does after the crime is questionable, creepy, and psychopathic. That there's no other real decent scenario, although the defense will come up with one. That's why he got convicted. All the jurors think he was guilty as hell. And they came back and said he was guilty as hell. Nobody's second guessing themselves, which is interesting because a lot of times, you do, but man, they thought he did it. And if he, I don't have a problem with evidence being tested. I don't really have a problem with that. Apparently, they only allowed one piece to be tested, which was what was wrapped around her body. They didn't let the mattress be tested again because it was already tested, for God's sakes. It was already tested and didn't came back not blood. So the question is, how much does the court waste its time and how much money is spent on erroneous garbage put out by the defense? And so they allow for one thing. But, this was an overwhelming case of circumstantial evidence. I didn't need to even see the second documentary because this is the one that's supposed to convince me. It's like making a murderer of Stephen Avery. I'm like, Netflix did everything. The defense did everything to try to show Stephen Avery as innocent. I'm like, the dude from that, I'm watching Making a Murderer and thinking, oh my God, this guy's guilty. And you're trying to convince me he's innocent, but oh my God, he's guilty. Same thing with the West Memphis 3 case. They're all this innocent, whatever. They had I forgot 3 different shows. From the very first one I watched, I said, the West Memphis 3 guys are guilty. And that's the defense's film. Now, you expect that the prosecution film is going to convince you, maybe. But when the defense film convinces you that they're guilty, I'd say they're probably guilty because they can't even make it work. They can't even convince me when it's coming entirely from their point of view and totally manipulated, totally with the defense agenda, all of these things. And I still think the guy's guilty. Stephen Avery, West Memphis 3, Scott Peterson, all 3 of them. Y'all keep trying, but I haven't believed any of your defense films yet. Let's see what other comments you have here. How did he know she walked the dog after he left? I don't know. I guess the idea is that she liked to walk the dog in the morning, and she hadn't walked the dog yet. So therefore, after he left, she probably walked the dog. I don't know that he actually said that absolutely she walked the dog, but that is the belief. That was, this is what she does, therefore. But that would be, he claims, at 9:30, not later in the day. Candace says, Janie probably crushed on Scotty before he murdered Lacy. After he did, she had him captured and can be his hero. She's fresh off the nut farm. Might disagree with you if I could, but I can't. I mean, I don't know what her issue is, but yeah, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Nancy says, who believes meth addicts, criminals are going to go out in a storm, same areas? Again, not necessarily that day. It could have happened 2 or 3 days later, as the defense claims. But when you're kidnapping somebody, the idea is you're going to kill them so that they won't testify. What do you think, you're going to keep a pregnant woman around for 2 or 3 days alive? No, you're going to kill her immediately. And then do you think you're going to keep her dead body around? No, you're going to get rid of it. You're not going to. Where did they put it? Did these meth heads have like a house with a big, huge freezer? I guess maybe. So annoying. Oh my goodness. What? There was a huge storm. There's nothing suspicious. There's a huge storm. Stop that. Stop it. Not everything is a conspiracy. There was a massive, bizarre storm that everything about that yacht sinking is perfectly natural incident. Don't go there. What? What? Oh my God! I think I don't know who you are, but I think it's time to ban you. Okay. You're just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. You must be a Scott Peterson girl fan of some sort. Just annoying. Just annoying. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. Jacqueline says, when Lacy grew heavily pregnant, she complained to her mother that Scott didn't even want to touch her belly. Yeah, I don't know that that's true. That's somebody saying that. But, not every guy is thrilled about the changes that come over, especially if he thinks of his wife as more of a sex toy than a human being. And a man who is excited and loves his wife and loves to have a family, he's going to see the growing belly as something very exciting and want to touch it and feel it and listen to it. And yeah, there's some sex issues, that's normal. But for a guy who doesn't really want that, dude, wear a condom. Your fault. But then again, Illuminating Ink says that duct tape could have clinched to her in the water, so it proves nothing if they can't say where it came from. It depends on how it was wrapped around her, if it was clearly wrapped around her for the purposes. I can't remember. It's been so long since I did the analysis, and I'm not going to rewatch my analysis. I don't have time. But if it was wrapped around her specifically, then it would have been put there by whomever killed her. If it was just something glued onto her, it could be meaningless. But the defense doesn't care as long as there might just be some questionable DNA on there, something. It doesn't even matter how much of it there is. It could be the person who, I don't know. The DNA could be there for many reasons, not necessarily because it's from the killer. So this is a Hail Mary for them. They're just hoping that anything that confuses is good enough. And believe me, so many people have been found not guilty. Or, hey, what's happening these days is that the trial doesn't go back to court. It's not like it's an appeal and it goes back to court. What happens is, and I've seen this in too many cases now, and it's making me ill, is that the new prosecution, DA's office or whatever, decides that it is politically expedient for them to find this person innocent, to say that there were problems way back when, and this person shouldn't have been convicted. They let them go and they get political points. And so it never goes back to trial. It never gets another jury. It's just a couple guys deciding politically, this will benefit us. Let's let him go. Let's just say we see that there were some issues. And so then they release him. And so this is a new trend that's been happening. And it's very concerning to me because it's all behind closed doors. And we don't actually know what the truth is about how this person suddenly was exonerated. Because they're not telling us. They're just giving us whatever snippet they want to give us. And then that person sometimes turns around and sues for like $10 million. And we have to pay it out of our pockets because some DA who wanted political points decided it was worth it because he's not suffering from it. He's going to get reelected, whatever it is he's after. It's very, very concerning. Well, Making a Murderer was incredibly successful. I mean, Netflix like that set Netflix off into the great universe. I mean, it was amazing how much money they made on that stupid thing. And Stephen Avery said, one thing about Stephen Avery, which is hard for me to believe, he's the most unlikable, creepy character ever who threw a cat into a fire. I mean, the guy's not a nice guy, but because he was wrongly convicted to begin with, wrongly convicted, not because he wasn't a psychopathic sexual predator, but because he wasn't the proper psychopathic sexual predator. It was somebody else who looked just like him. He was wrongly convicted, didn't mean he wasn't what he was. And so when he got convicted for the real thing, people are falling for the fact that, he was wrongly convicted, the government must be trying to do whatever. But the evidence is like overwhelming that this guy is guilty and a psychopath. But Netflix made a bloody fortune. And I think, to me, one of the things I noted about that show was the music. Oh my God, the music. the creepy music, and it was mood music to get you to feel things, very manipulative, and that bothers me. I want to see documentaries done with people sitting there and with no music, discussing the evidence. Okay, this person discusses this says this, they converse over this, they have a, they have a debate over the evidence. I'm good with that. That's what I want to see. I want no music. I want no editing. I want none of this nonsense. But that's what makes the money. Money makes the world go round, and it makes documentary makers rich. They don't care. I haven't seen enough of them care about the truth, because if they did it properly, they probably wouldn't get great numbers watching. This, and now some people say it's just, I don't have great numbers watching my shows. Some people say it's because you suck, Pat, but and there's a lot of reasons. I'm an older woman. I don't gossip. I don't do this. I don't do that. I can give you a million reasons why I don't make the money some people do. But I think one of the reasons I don't is because I don't play the game. I don't do what makes money and gets clicks. It's kind of stupid, but then I guess I just don't do that. I would like to see documentaries do what I do, but okay, on a more professional level, I'm okay with people saying I'm not being that professional. It's YouTube. I don't have the energy. If they want me to be super, super professional, then somebody needs to pay me and spend a lot of time letting me research and work and put me at the, whatever. But that's not what's happening out there. And I would love to see documentaries do kind of like maybe PBS. Is it PBS in the day? PBS in the day, I think, did these very educational things. You think that's going to sell today? People want reality shows. People want gossip. They don't care about the truth. And I'm going to do a show coming up next week where I'm going to show you how bad it really is, how much people are suckered in the true crime community. I'm going to do that next week. Why do these innocent people not care about the victims? Because they think they're a victim. That's probably why. Well, that's true. Defense can and will say anything, doesn't make it true. That's true. A lot of people defend defense attorneys by saying their job is to get their client off, with any method possible. I personally disagree with this. I think that it's about time that our justice system doesn't do that. If we're looking for truth and justice, why are we allowing defense attorneys to lie, manipulate? Just the things they do are disgusting. And they're allowed to literally do almost anything. And now sometimes the prosecution ain't so good either, but the defense attorneys are over the moon on this stuff because that's what they do, and they're told it's okay. I would like to see it, that the defense attorney would lose he would be disbarred if he lied. You want to represent somebody and present the evidence that might prove they're innocent? Fine. But if you're sitting behind there coming up with fake stories and a bunch of lies to get your client off, you should be disbarred. To me, you're not looking for justice. You're just a con artist, and you're being paid to be a con artist. No, that's why I just blocked her. Oh, who just did this? I didn't even realize I had this on. Thank you, Dogs Discussion. I appreciate that very much. Supporting this. Yeah, thank you. I don't know what to say. Thank you. And thank you very much, Loretta. Aw, you deserve thank you for your great shows. Thank you very much. I didn't really realize I had this on because I don't do many live shows with Super Chat. So that surprised me. I didn't see that. So thank you very much. Oh, thank God, Pebbles. I have, one thing that people don't do who have a YouTube channel, especially profilers or detectives, retired whatever, law enforcement, is go against the grain to say something that is going to piss people off and lose them subscribers and lose them money. And the main subjects are West Memphis 3, Madeline McCann, JonBenet Ramsey. Any more? I'm trying to think of what other ones. You better not be on the wrong side, or you're just going to get, So a lot of them won't say anything because it brings problems it kills their channel, and it's it's a tough thing. I understand people, when you're a YouTuber, you have to earn a living. And so I understand the fact that you do want to have a channel that's successful. So I'm not totally against people doing things that make themselves successful. And I am fortunate that I am of the age and where I don't have a family to raise anymore. And so I can get away with making less. But there are people out there, they still got to put food on the table, and so I understand people want to earn a living, and there's nothing wrong with earning a living by YouTube or writing a book or whatever. I just want you to be honest. That's all. Honest as you can possibly be. Other than that, I'm good. So let's see what else you have to say. You're actually feeling the opposite, confused about him doing all this. Why are you confused? I don't know what makes you think that he's innocent. Clearly a psychopath, clearly cheating on his wife, lied about everything he did that day. Everything points to him. I'm a little confused. Are you buying this concept that some burglars killed her? Sometimes people do. Yeah, Adnan Syed, I think he's guilty as hell. And he got off because of a podcast and some ridiculous defense stuff that just was nonsense. And again, as I point out, that it was a DA political move, which is really unfortunate. What? I'm trying to figure out what you're saying, Dog's discussion. Anyone wants to go as a couple to Pat for, I don't know what you're saying. And I know you, so I'm assuming that's I'm just not understanding it, or it's a typing issue. I don't know which one it is. Lacy's sister. What? Lacy's sister? Lacy's. Are we talking about the same person? I'm confused now. Who you're talking about? Yes, thank you, sister-in-law. Yeah, it's not her sister; it's her sister-in-law. This is Scott's brother's wife. She's been obsessed with Scott forever, thinking he's innocent. She went out and got a law degree and everything. And the funny thing is, she's studying law and she's studying evidence, and yet she has freaking no clue that all the evidence points to Scott. What is your issue? I mean, the thing that's really interesting is that none of the family will admit the dude is a creep. You can say, if you said this, look, my brother-in-law can't stand the dude. He cheated on my sister-in-law. He's a piece of crap. He's a liar. And don't tell me that he grew up with this family and they never saw him do this stuff before. It didn't just start after he met Lacy. No. This guy's been a psychopath forever. He has been lying and manipulating his entire life. If the family said, look, I know the dude is what he is, but I just don't think he killed Lacy, I would feel better about that. But the sister-in-law, the parents, the brother, oh, he's a wonderful guy. No, he's not. You know he's a creep. Look what he did to Lacy. Look what he did to Amber. Even if they didn't kill anybody, he's a scuzzbag. Why won't you admit he's a scuzzbag? What is it with you that you can't admit this? It just drives me nuts. Oh, thank you, Mary. I'm just seeing this coming in, and wait a minute, what's going on here? I can't. Wait a minute, how do I do this? Hold on a second. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to click on. Wait a minute, what's going? Hold on a second. I don't know if I'm trying to bring this up on the screen and I can't do it. Loretta says you deserve a thank you for your great show. Thank you, Loretta, who just sent a lovely donation. And Mary has also done so. And I also can't seem to bring this up on the thing here. And Molly says, Pat, thanks for your great work. What is Mark G's explanation of Scott's drop of blood on the comforter? Thank you for Molly. Very, very generous of you. What is his? What is his? He doesn't have one. I mean, I guess he would. I I didn't hear one, but I guess he would say this: anybody can cut themselves shaving, nick themselves. I mean, anybody can have a drop of blood on a comforter. I personally don't think that's huge evidence. I mean, the sunken area and the blood drop together I would imagine he could have been smothering her, strangling her, and got just a nick on him and the blood drop. I can imagine that's true, but this to me is not great evidence to prove anything. So I'm with the defense on that. That's not, it's interesting, but it's not spectacular. Anybody who's been in a house for a long enough time, blood can be, there just can be blood. I mean, there can be blood. I mean, you could have a nosebleed. You could cut yourself on something. And you go, oh, crap, what the heck? And things happen, So I'm not impressed by that. Just like if Lacy's blood, just drop or two of Lacy's blood with there, I'm not overly impressed by that either, because it could be a million things. I'm not, I always go over the totality of the evidence, the totality. One thing alone doesn't prove anything. Let's say somebody saw me swerve on the road and they pull me over and I don't take a breathalyzer test. They say, we think you're drinking and driving. Because I swerved once on the road, does that prove that? No. I could have swerved for a million reasons. It could be I was falling asleep. It could be that I looked at my phone. Shouldn't do that. Look at my phone. It could be I was moving away from, I saw a deer coming into the road and I swerved. Now, if they stopped me 7 times for swerving on the road, you would say, I think Pat Brown has been drinking and driving. That would be reasonable. One time does not prove a lot of things. So we have to be careful about one instant of something. Okay, so that's why I said if Scott had just slept with somebody while he was out of town, because he's a dude, he's drinking, some girl says, hey, and his wife is pregnant, he hasn't had sex with her for a month. He goes to his hotel room, she rolls in, they have sex. Do I approve of this? No, I don't. If I were Lacy, I'd be pissed. However, if it were a one-off incident where the guy was drunk and he was out of town, she was highly pregnant, okay, maybe. But this isn't what Scott did. Scott continued a relationship with Amber for a long time and lied and lied and lied and lied. There's a difference between the two things. So I think we have to understand a little bit of evidence and a massive amount of evidence. Scott had a mound of evidence in so many ways, not just one place, not just one thing. We have him lying and lying and lying and lying and bizarre behavior. We have no other suspects that make any sense. We just have a massive amount of circumstantial evidence. Now, along with the circumstantial evidence, when they say there's no physical evidence, we do have his boat physically being in that bay where her body came up. We have him physically making these anchors. Oh, I forgot about her hair. I completely forgot to put that one up. The hair. Where's her hair? Nope, not that one. There we go. There was, that's the anchor. Sorry. Here we go. A needle nose pliers with her hair on it was also with the boat. Now, why would her hair be in the pliers? Some would say, the defense would, that maybe the hair was already on his shirt and he was doing something and the hair fell into the pliers. But again, one more piece of evidence. That was actually physical evidence. So although the physical evidence didn't necessarily say 100% that he killed her, it's one more piece. Where the boat was located, where her body was found, that he made the anchors, too many that were necessary for that boat, for the pliers with her hair, all of these things. And you go back to the house, the imprint on the bed, the little blood stain. These are actually, you could call them circumstantial, but they're very physical as well. And then you have everything else. That's why the jury found him guilty. There's reasons they found him guilty. Massive reasons. So, you know, did I already say Lady Jane? I'm just trying to figure out why I can't click on things. Why can't I click on things? Lady Jane, thank you, Lady Jane. Love your shows. I don't know if I already clicked on that. I'm getting lost here. Because I thought I don't do super chat. So when I see these colorful things show up, I saw them at the top of the thing and I didn't notice they were there, and I don't know what you're supposed to do with them. But I thank you very much, because I don't even know if this show is going to be monetized. I said it could be monetized, but sometimes YouTube does strange things, and once a show comes out, they demonetize it in the middle of the show. So, Eleanor says, Pat, thanks for your reference to Deception Detective. He says many interesting things. Deception Detective is a guy who's been out there and he's been analyzing a bunch of different people making statements, the Madeleine McCann case and other cases. A lot of the stuff he says, he's you know, is very reasonable, because he does statement analysis in a certain particular way. I don't agree with all of it, but I like a lot of it. And I think people find it very interesting, and he's being very successful at the moment. Yeah, I haven't had too much of a problem with him. I like Peter Hyatt's statement analysis as well. People ask me, why don't I do that kind of statement analysis where I put something up and I analyze everything? It's just not me. I do what I call red flag statement analysis. I talk about certain things people have said when it stands out to me as a red flag. So I don't go through every single thing that they say. I don't put a video up and do that. It's just not my style. But I appreciate that they do it. And then I just do my thing where I say, hey, that bugs me. Oh, you're going to bed? It's only 2 a.m. Yeah, where are you? Let's see. It's 9 o'clock here, 2 a.m. I assume you're in the UK. Am I correct? The problem with YouTube is if you're doing something live, it's so frustrating, because I'm Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Maryland in the United States. I do something at 7. For Pacific time, it's over at 4 o'clock. But for my friends in the UK, it's midnight. And for my friends in Europe, other places in Europe, it's 1 o'clock. And Australia is doing well now, because at least they're awake at 9. But when I do a show at 3 p.m., then the poor people over in Australia, it's like, that's 5 a.m., Mom. Pat, do you expect us to get up at 5 a.m.? Alicia says, I personally think Scott Peterson is full of it. He's right where he belongs. I'm good with that. Oh, aren't you nice, Loretta? Send a super chat, guys. We normally can't with Pat shows. That is true. I normally don't do those. This is a rarity. He's a narcissist. I don't think he's innocent. They don't know the facts, whoever those people are. I'm trying to figure out what side you're on. I never said I think he's innocent. Okay. I said I think his behavior with all this bizarre. I just think his behavior with all this is bizarre, and that I think he's guilty. Well, you know, one of the things Scott Peterson doesn't do, I forgot to mention this. He never feels guilty for his behavior. He has an excuse for everything he does. And that's a sign of a psychopath as well. He's like, oh, I don't know why people are thinking this about me. Well, dude, maybe it's because of the way you behave. Maybe people have a right to believe that about you because you behave that way. So, if you don't see that, if you can't see that your behavior is a reason you're sitting in that prison, then you're a psychopath. This is true. Illuminating Ink says, let's not forget his call to Amber during a vigil for Lacy, pretending to be at the Eiffel Tower. No man would do that if his pregnant wife was abducted. Who does that? Exactly. Who calls up a mistress? Oh, my wife is missing. I think my wife, she might be raped, murdered. Maybe she's dead. Maybe my baby son is gone. Oh, but honey, hi, Amber. Oh, yeah, I'm here. We're I'm in Paris looking at the Eiffel Tower. Who does that? A psychopath. Oh, a psychopath. They're just. Oh, this one. See, I can see this one. Thank you, Mary. This one showed up here. Oh, it's interesting. I don't understand how this works. Well, then Molly showed up here finally. Maybe it's just because I'm in a different location on the screen here. Thank you for all your great work. What is Mark G's explanation? Oh, yeah, I answered that, but thank you, Molly, very much. I don't understand these women who get obsessed with convicted psychopathic murderers. I will say it's probably this. There was a woman who got really upset with me because she was Mark Carr. Remember Mark Carr who claimed that he killed JonBenet? Mark Carr got this girlfriend, I think she was from Virginia, who said, oh, Mark Carr. Anyway, I said something about it and she contacted me. She goes, why did you say these things about me? And I'm like, why would you hook up with Mark Carr? And I said this to the general public. My guess is that, when you're a regular person, or maybe even feel like you're not even as good as a regular person, you're kind of a failure in life, shall we say. In other words, you're just not popular. You're not getting men looking at you. People ignore you. You just, maybe, I don't know, whatever you're doing in life is just not getting attention. You can date the guy who stocks shelves at Safeway. And still nobody will pay attention to you because you're hooked up with a guy who stocks shelves at Safeway. Now, mind you, there's nothing wrong with that. But in your own mind, if you think there's something wrong with that because you're just not cool enough, you want more attention. You have a massive narcissistic problem. So you think, well, I could go with a guy at Safeway, or I could hook up with Mark Carr or Ted Bundy or Scott Peterson. And once my name is connected, I will be somebody. And people will know who I am. He will be talking about me, thinking I'm wonderful, and I could even have his baby, and I could go to the prison. Everybody has to let me in because I'm Ted Bundy's girlfriend, or people are going to write about me in the newspaper. I'm going to be somebody. You don't care if people think that you're crazy. You don't care if people think you're the anti-hero type person. The fact is, they notice you. Where sometimes you don't get noticed. And not being noticed sometimes is more difficult for people to accept that they're just regular people, or even, quote, less than regular people. You're just getting along in life. Maybe your cat likes you, but you don't think that's enough. Maybe, you have family that loves you, but that's just not enough. You want to be more. You want more. And so you're willing to do this because it gives, and also the other thing is, you hook up with a guy who's in prison, you never have to deal with bad dates. You never have to worry about him cheating on you. Well, he probably will with other women, actually. He's going on. He may not be able to go online, but he can get his profile on a prison dating site, and he could be communicating with 8 other women, but you're too stupid to know that. But you feel like he's your special guy, and he's a psychopath. So he's telling you, "Oh my God, you brought me out of my misery. I've been so lonely in prison, and now you care about me, and you love me, and you think I didn't do it, and I just love you so much." A fantasy sometimes a whole lot better than real life. It is. I mean, that's a reality. That's why people go online and they have these online relationships for the longest time with somebody that have no clue who the hell they are, because it's a good fantasy. Just nice. It's like somebody's paying attention to you. Somebody's saying the right things. And it's worth that. So that's why women and men get hooked up with this crap. They do. I mean, it's amazing when you see how many. Hey, I'm telling you, go to these prison dating sites, and I always said this is a great thing to experience. You go to Match.com and check out the dudes and women there, and see how creepy most of them are. You go to the prison dating sites. Those people, those guys and gals are just amazing. They're good looking. They're always so nice. They're like, "Hey, I just want to get to know you. I love walking on the beach. I like spending time talking. I love reading." Like, oh my God. Now they're all lying psychopaths, but they know what to say. What they go to Match.com and a guy's up against a car and he's like, I'm really cool and I like women who like to have interesting sexual experiences. You're like, ew, the psychopaths in prison don't say that. They tell you they want to be in love with you. And they're willing to wait because they're incarcerated for 50 years. They're willing to wait and get to know you. It's amazing. But that's why they do it, because they get attention, and they get the kind of attention that gives them even if it's fake, the thrill that makes them feel like somebody more than they actually are. And that may be a sign that our society is too, I don't know, when you don't live in a place where everybody knows you and people, you're part of that community, in a real strong community. When people feel isolated, that's kind of where they go sometimes. You kind of wonder. Again, maybe her fantasy, the Scott, is better than what she's getting in reality with her actual husband. Oh, this is Lady Jane. Thank you very much, Lady Jane. I'm seeing it in the actual chat area. There's something that shows up at top, and then I don't understand it. Thank you, Lady Jane. Much appreciated. Let's see. What? How does a woman or man get into a prisoner? I'm telling you, go to the prison dating site. Literally you can put in death row dating. You can put in prison dating sites, and you can come up. Go look at it. It's fascinating. I mean, I can find like 10 guys I really want to be with, but if I went on Match.com, I can't find anybody. It's amazing. They shouldn't be allowed to do it, mind you, but they are allowed to do it. They take pictures. I don't know where this happens, but in the prison, they have these, the posters that they can stand in front of, like behind the car or the ocean or like Hawaii or something. They actually take pictures in front of these places. And a lot of these guys, at least the men, are working out and stuff. So they're buff and like they look good. And that's a picture that's on the prison dating site. So it's phenomenal. And then a lot of people end up writing. They go through organizations that write to prisoners, and then the prisoners milk them for money and all kinds of stuff. It's just, there's a lot of suckers out there, let me tell you. That's a good point. I have no problem with somebody questioning. I agree with that. I don't like people coming with false facts. The problem is a lot of people fall for false facts, and then they're trying to convince others that the false facts are true. And I don't know how many times I've had people comment on YouTube. And I do actually read some of my comments. Some YouTubers never look at a comment ever, or they block all comments because it's painful sometimes, because the nastiness and the viciousness and a person supposedly is supposed to watch your video. They don't even pay attention to your video. They're just coming there to give their ideas, and they say things like, "Lady, you're an idiot," and "Lady, you don't know what you're talking about," and they're rude, and so then I just block them. But it's frustrating, because it's nice to have a proper discussion if people are using actual facts, but that isn't quite the way it works. That's it's just not reality. I wish it was sometimes. Let's see. I'm looking for so many good comments here. What? I'm not sure what that person's talking about. You're wide awake? Oh, that's very nice of you. You're wide awake. Depending on where you are in the world, it can be amazing. Although I'm an insomniac, so people are like, "So Pat, how did you respond to my question at 5 o'clock in the morning your time?" I'm like, I guess I wasn't sleeping. he was going to skip town, had money and changed his looks. He's claiming, and his family's claiming, he wasn't skipping town. He's just visiting relatives. You don't visit relatives by taking $10,000, having your brother's license for getting into the golf course cheap, and changing your looks. I mean, yes, they were close to the Mexican border, but I'm pretty sure that if he could have, if he wasn't being chased by the police, which he claims is, oh, I thought it was a paparazzi. Yeah, okay. And he tried to elude them. He was probably going to try to go to the Mexican border, get over that border, and hope that Mexico wouldn't rat him out, and he wasn't extradited from there. But he was probably pretty desperate at that point. So yes, I think he was absolutely trying to escape the country. The fact that somebody would think he wasn't trying to do that is kind of crazy. Peter Hyatt. Oh yeah, you want to check out Peter Hyatt. Peter Hyatt, I've known Peter for many years. He does statement analysis. I always say this just for the sake of it, because I think people need to know this. I don't always agree 100% with Peter's analysis. Maybe 95, but not 100. Why do I always say this? Because people always think that you can't like somebody's work if you don't agree every single moment. There are people who think I'm really good, but they're like, yeah, but Pat, on that case, I don't agree with you. That's okay. You folks coming to my channel, I hope you think I'm a good profiler. I hope you're getting something out of my crime scene analysis and learning about analyzing evidence. But you don't have to be a bunch of sheep. I don't want you like pawing after me going, I believe everything you say, Pat. No, I don't need that. And I don't want you to be that person. I want you to be a person who can think. But I want you to learn from me and then put that into action. So learn from Peter Hyatt, learn from Deception Detective, learn from, I sometimes put a number of people I will connect to who I think are good or reasonable. Even some people, there's some I have issues with, but like Ken Maines. I've had issues with Ken Maines. I supported him because I liked a detective who was willing to explain his analyses. I didn't always agree with him, but I liked that he explained his analyses. Unfortunately, he did kind of go off the rails when he brought in a psychopathic murderer and claimed that this guy, have him profiling crimes that made me throw up. I thought that was wrong. Then he called me a crazy old grandma, which I didn't like. However, and a lot of people say, man, that guy has a massive ego. And I think he does. I think it's unfortunate because I still don't tell people, I don't say to people, don't watch his channel, because I still think he can offer something. Another opinion, which he's at least analyzed the evidence. And I'm all for that. I don't care if he likes me, and he doesn't have to have me like him. We don't have to get together for a beer. But at least I like that he explains himself. And I'm big on explanation. And so I'm not always against somebody who I don't agree with all the time. But I am against people who I think are total grifters. If they're a grifter, con artist, I'm not nice. I'm not nice. Thank you. I'm an inspiration. Wannabe, novice criminal profiler wannabes. I'm glad for that. If you're going into the field, or even if you're just using profiling in your day-to-day life, sometimes that's the most important place, because we run into people and we run into situations. If we can analyze those, we can save ourselves and our family a whole lot of trouble. So absolutely not. This is a great comment, though. Do you think he has convinced himself he didn't do it? No. A lot of people think that psychopaths will convince themselves they didn't commit the crime. No, they absolutely know they committed the crime. They don't care that they committed the crime. They're happy they committed the crime. They're just pissed you don't believe it. That's why you see the duper's delight sometimes, like, I didn't commit that crime. That kind of thing, because they're laughing that you're maybe falling for the fact that they're saying they didn't do it. No, they are not psychotic. They know what they did. They just don't have a problem with the fact that they did it. So they're not like delusional. It's not like they forgot. No, a psychotic might be confused, but not a psychopath. Absolutely knows that he did it. But they're very good liars. So they will convince you. They're not going to need to convincing themselves. Oh, you caught the live. Right. That's why we have YouTube, where we can then watch the video later. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh, Paris, calling from, oh no, I thought you were calling from Paris. I was like ready to go back. I just visited Paris a while back. I had a good time. Oh, Caitlin, thank you very much. So happy to have found your channel. More Dear Profiler Pat, please. And in case you don't know what Dear Profiler Pat is, I have a playlist of Dear Profiler Pat. It's kind of like Dear Abby. Some people think I should have a separate channel doing that, and maybe I will one day transfer it. But I just like doing these Dear Profiler Pats because people ask me questions about life, and I like to talk about profiling life. And what should I do about, the fact I can't get over someone? What should I do about that I'm getting older and I don't have any friends, or whatever, whatever it is, so people send me questions. Dear Profiler Pat, what do you think about this? And once in a while I just make them up because it comes into my mind. Believe me, Dear Abby makes up, somebody said this to me. No, they never did. But I do like to give advice. And so a lot of people like the Dear Profiler Pats, and I just enjoy doing them. So, thank you very much. I try to have integrity. I'm not perfect, but I do try, Yes, this was a huge red flag. He told Amber that before Lacy was found dead, that would be his first Christmas without his wife. Again, this is one of his behaviors and statements that you have to say, this is indicative of something. And what his family will say is, oh, he didn't mean anything by it. Who says that crap? The family is just, I'm really bothered by the family and by the horrible sister-in-law. Sorry, horrible sister-in-law. I don't like people who defend people who are clearly psychopathic and repulsive. If at least you said, oh, this dude has given us trouble all our lives, we're horrified what he did to Lacy and Amber, but we still don't think he killed anybody. We just can't see him doing it. I would be okay with that. But you all just ignore everything he's ever done and try to present him as this wonder boy, this sweet boy, this great guy. Oh, a little infidelity. It just makes me sick. It makes me absolutely sick. And I have no respect for you. Sorry. Maybe that's why he's a psychopath. Oh, thank you very much, Shauna. Unbelievable. And thank you, Annie. Hi, Annie. You're the best. Oh, you're so nice. Absolutely nice. And Annie and I have now known each other for, I'm trying to remember when I started this channel. Yeah. Annie and I went on a trip to Mongolia together. So it was a great time in Mongolia. It was just amazing. So really cool. That's okay, Caitlin. As I say, just subscribe to the channel. Hey, little things help. That's all. Oh, you're so wonderful. Thank you so much. Dogs discussion. You're awesome. Yay, Canada. Okay. And this is Jadzia. Thank you for all your great work, Pat. I really respect your opinion and love your humor. Oh, thank you. And I appreciate that because I get a lot of flack for my humor because sometimes I fall apart laughing during my shows, and people are like, "What kind of professional are you? You're talking about somebody who's been murdered, and you're so unprofessional, and you're laughing, and now you're hysterical." Like a professor in a classroom, I can't do the somber thing straight through. Otherwise, I don't even want to do the channel. That's why I do live shows more than videos, because videos, you're talking to a camera and you're not involved with people. And I want to have things that I enjoy doing. I love teaching. I love explaining stuff. I love interacting. And sometimes I like laughing because things make me laugh. It has nothing to do with the fact I don't have respect for the family or the victim, because God knows if I were the family of the victim, maybe I wouldn't want to watch my channel. Maybe that's true. I mean, I would be, oh my God, she laughed during talking about my murdered loved one. I get that. I mean, there's things I don't watch because it pisses me off, and not because I'm against what the person said, but because I'm just not in the mood, you know. So I've often said to families of murder victims, be careful what you watch. Don't put yourself in a place where you have, you know, because of this, the fact that so many people can reach out on YouTube and the media. Make sure that you don't torture yourselves when to you, it's much more personal than to the person who's doing the show. And there's some people do shows and you always see them going, oh my God, I feel so bad. The family, they're just faking it, dudes. I'm sorry. I don't know why you fall for this crap. You think YouTubers who have 1 million subscribers, who do true crime shows all the time, have great emotions and empathy? They don't. They have general empathy, I'm sure. I'm not saying they don't have empathy for victims and families, but the most of it is acting, because they don't feel that at that moment, but they want to put that on because that's popular. That, oh my God, isn't that horrible? We should all sit here and have a crying fest. I mean, they do this because it makes money. Sorry, guys. I mean, it's just the truth. I'm not saying they don't have empathy in general. I'm just saying that show after show after show, that's part of the act that they put on during the show. I don't put on an act. I feel really bad that Lacy was murdered. I think it's horrible. And I hate this guy, personally. I do. I have times when emotions come through, but there are times when I just, in doing a show, I just I have to have a sense of humor. Maybe it's a black humor, a dark humor, whatever, but I just have to want to do these shows. So I appreciate the fact that you get that, but some people don't, and they're like, unsubscribe. And that's okay. Because if it's not for you, it's not for you. Not everybody has to like what I do. You know, so it's like books. You know, one person reads a book, I think it's great. I read the book, I think it's horrible. So I go to a movie, I think it's wonderful. Somebody else goes to a movie and thinks it sucks. You know, everybody's got taste. You know, so yeah. Oh, again, I don't care. It's you know, I'm not trying to do super chat. It was just here. Hey, and let me tell you, injuries are no laughing matter, really. I mean, when somebody has a disability due to health injuries, I've got enough going on in my own family that all you can do is try to survive. Please. I'm just happy to have you here. You don't have to give me a penny. That's cool. Oh my goodness. But that is true. That's very kind. I do appreciate it. We're having some weird issues now with YouTube and with Patreon. Apple is now taking 30% Patreon starting November. Just like it's like they make it difficult. And so unless you have 1 million subscribers and you get millions of views per show, most YouTubers are just struggling to survive. Just understand that. And I'm just putting it for me, but just that's the way it is. But thank you very much. Yay, Texas. I was just in New Braunfels. My sister lives in New Braunfels, so I went to Texas recently to that location, and so I had a good time. I had some really great Tex-Mex food. I was shocked about. Really excellent. Oh, thank you. Well, I said somehow I have to have some on Match before out it for more than a few frauds. Match, they gave you a refund. All right. Some people have had luck with Match.com. Yeah, I profile too many people. It's like it doesn't go well. You type psycho twice, you're in my court. You know how many times I say psycho. I do that all the time. Thank you so much. Wait, what happened to that? Wait, where'd it go? Wait. Oh, I just clicked on something. It vanished. What? Thank you, Kelly. Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, you're just incredible. Thank you. What happened here? I just clicked on this. Northern Nurse, just most credible donation to the channel. Thank you very much. And I just clicked on you and then you vanished. I don't know what happened. So I apologize. I don't know how this works. I really don't. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. You can't especially after I starting the show and everything went to hell. I, the whole show crashed and burned because the internet went out 3 times, and I'm like, can't even do the show, So let me see what less of the comments you have. That is true. I do a PayPal. I got to redo the PayPal thing. I do have a PayPal account, which things can be donated through there, which evades YouTube and their cut. The reason that people do things through YouTube is because it's very difficult to do things otherwise, and so I wish they took 15%, which is what like literary agents take, but they're greedy these days. They take a lot more. But then again, people who do YouTube have a chance to have a channel where normally you'd never have this opportunity. You'd have to go through some big, organization. Like I've been up for so many series. People came to me, producers, and someone, God, Pat, we want you to be the profiler on this series. And then we do what's called a sizzle reel, and I would I would go there, and they would film me pretending to do something, and then this would go through the Discovery Channel or whatever, and they'd try to sell it, and then one day you just never hear back, and you're like, I've been through so many of those. So to get chosen to be the head, to have your own show is so difficult that a lot of times it doesn't happen. So YouTube, you get to be able to have your own show. So that's pretty amazing. So as that goes, as a platform, it's incredible. Now, mind you, 99.75% of people who do YouTube never make a penny out of millions and hundreds of thousands of millions of channels. It's very difficult to survive on YouTube and even earn a living. And if you're working full time, it sucks, but there are those people who make a fortune, and then most of the people don't make anything. So that's, but you have an opportunity, and it's like Amazon. You can self-pub on Amazon and also on Smashwords and other places without going through a publisher, without having a literary agent. But to ever sell anything is very, very minimal unless you have some kind of huge following. So that's the way the world works. But Derek says, "Hey, Derek, I can't remember, but was Scott charged with a double murder since the unborn baby was killed as well?" I think he was. As far as I know, he was, because there were 2 of them, two for one. Let's see. There's buying me a cup of coffee. Really? Oh, I can't even keep up with this. Every so often everything changes again, and sometimes I just can't even keep up with the crap. I just want it to stay simple. It's like I just want to be able to analyze crimes and reach out to my viewers, and that's it. And it's just so difficult. It's just sometimes a pain in the butt. Oh Lord. So I do have a PayPal. I will try to fix. I have one. I think I have the wrong information there, though. So I will try to fix that for the future and put the proper PayPal information. I do have it. It's just, I think I just put the wrong information the last time I tried to do it. So anyway, yeah, there are so many creative platforms, and that gets exhausting too. I am on Twitter, but I don't. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I have a TikTok account. I just don't do TikTok. I have an Instagram account. I don't do Instagram. I have 2 Facebook things. I don't do Facebook videos. You can try to go across all these. I don't, I want to focus on what I want to focus on. So I have decided I will do just YouTube, and I will have my patrons at Patreon that support me, and we have our smaller community there. I'm done. This is where I'm going. This is what I want to do. And, I don't have the energy to do all the rest of it. It's a lot of work just having the channel. I work full time at this, and I love what I do, but you can drive yourself crazy trying to be everywhere and for everybody. And some people do it, and they have a house in the Bahamas. I don't. I don't need one. That's okay. I'm good. Oh yeah. Everybody can reach me on Messenger. That's absolutely true. I can, profile. You can always get me at profilerpatbrown@gmail.com. You can always get me on Facebook Messenger. You can reach me through Patreon. If you're on Patreon, anytime you message me, it'll come through to my email. Now, sometimes you will find that I don't respond or I don't respond quickly. It's because sometimes I'm overwhelmed. But I get to know a lot of people over time. And it's like, oh yeah. And if you keep harassing me, if you keep trying to contact me, like, can you do this case? I want this, whatever, eventually you might get through to me. It's like, oh, I've seen this like 4 times. The squeaky wheel, it works. Oh, thank you, Kelly. First live I've been able to catch. I appreciate you and your work so much. I love from Australia. I'm going to have to come to Australia one day, Kelly. I have so many people from Australia now, and I try to do some shows that Australians can actually see without being up at 5 a.m. But I haven't been to Australia yet, and one day I have to get there. It's just, I have to. What about pigeon? Like, are you like tying something to a pigeon leg? I don't know. Oh, let me see what you have to say about. Hold on a second. Hey, I have to say, some TikTok stuff I like. I do, and I'm on Facebook for a long time, so I don't have an objection to these at all. I do. I have some very favorite channels on TikTok, and I really truly enjoy them. And Facebook, I say I've had 2 Facebook pages forever, and I love Facebook. I think it's a great way for people to communicate with family and friends. It's wonderful because you don't have to accept anybody who's not a family or friend. So it can be very private, or you can reach out. I have a lot of people. Mine's not private, but I don't have any problem with that. I think you always have to be careful about when you're out there on the internet. Just be smart about it, and just don't believe everything everybody comes and tells you. Every text you get, something comes through your email. It's like, oh, this is UPS, and we have a package we haven't been able to deliver. Can you click on this link and give us all your information? No, you don't even know. This UPS isn't sending you anything. Don't fall for that nonsense. There's people now coming in through text messages like, hey, hi, why haven't you contacted me? And you're like, who is this? And they're like, it's Bob. And you're like, I don't know Bob. Aren't you Melody? No, I'm not Melody. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Melody contacted me about real estate. And what are you in Florida? No, I'm in Maryland. And then they start a conversation. That's the trick. There's these new texts coming in from people you don't know who pretend they made a mistake contacting you, and then they try to get you into a conversation and then try to sell you something, whatever it is. So just stop playing these games with people. When things come in by text or email, ignore them. Same thing on Facebook. Ignore people. I want to be your friend. Ignore them if you don't know them. And if you ever have a question, I'm with the IRS and you have a problem with your account, don't respond. Call the IRS. If you have a problem with UPS, call UPS. If your bank claims something, call your bank. Just don't respond to the email. Call to the actual institution. And they'll usually tell you, we never sent that crap out. And that's how you know. That's my little public service announcement for tonight to help you all out, not get screwed. Yes, if people are on Patreon, what? You can't message me on Patreon? Everybody can message me on Patreon. All you have to do, yes, I don't understand that. Send me, Profiler Pat Brown, send me something through there. Let me contact you back. Everybody on Patreon can either contact me through the regular messaging and it goes straight to my email, or they can contact me. Sometimes I put the patron chat every week. I put a patron chat. You can contact me there. It still comes to my email. Everything comes to my email. Anybody who publishes anything on Patreon by message or post will come to me through my email. So you should be able to contact me. Yeah. Then you can be at the live shows. Yeah, all of them, or whatever ones you want to come to. It's $5 a month. I don't charge any more than that because, I only have one level. Again, the yacht case. It's done. It was just an accident. Stop going there. Just an accident. Some things are just accidents. Not everything is a big conspiracy. And a lot of times, even when there's something like the Madeleine McCann case, all this concept of the Madeleine McCann case is involved in some kind of big sex trafficking conspiracy and people sucking blood out of kids and all kinds of nonsense. It's not. It's just not. So, the tape thing. Oh yeah, they came up with that. I was wondering why it wasn't back now, because it's been a while, and apparently somewhere around, is it in July, 45 more days. So if it was in July, I'm going to say it should be back halfway through September. So we'll find out. And I wonder what they're going to do when that happens. If it comes back negative for anything, or yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Oh, you keep all your emails from the Nigerian princes. Oh yeah, especially if they're good looking ones. Do they send you a nice picture? Oh. No, don't be like that about Damien Eccles. Keanu Reeves isn't in love with me? Damn it. He's kind of cute still. Oh, darn. So one of the things I'm going to end the show now. But one thing is really important in life, in spite of everything, in spite of the horrible things that we sometimes have to deal with, and the frustrations, and keep a sense of humor. Guys, keep a sense of humor. Life is an adventure, and stuff happens. You just like, seriously, I did not see that coming, or I can't believe that this happened. And keep it, I don't know, been around long enough to know that life doesn't always go the way I want it to. I've seen sad things. And still, as I get older, you see sad things happen within your friends and family. You lose friends, you lose family. And it can be tough. But keep a sense of humor, keep a sense of love, keep a sense of happiness about things that you can be happy about. That's the way life is. I mean, life is not perfect. Anywhere you think that life is ever going to be perfect for you, it never is. It doesn't even matter if you're wealthy or gorgeous. There's always something. You look at these people now, they're committing, they're like super rich and super famous, and suddenly they're found dead in their house, and nobody else was around, So why would they do this? Well, because they apparently did not understand that life is an adventure, and you don't always get your way. You don't always get what you want, but you can get enough things if you try hard enough. If you care about the people around you, even if you lose somebody, even Lacy Peterson's family loses her, hopefully they have each other and can take her memory on with them. And, you just have to live every day for whatever you have around you, whether it be a full family or whether there's only a couple of you left, or whether it's just you and your cat, and go out and be kind to people and experience whatever you can experience. Oh, and sometimes it's little things, sometimes it's big things, but just don't let it get to you completely. Anyway, Patreon is linked below, Leah. It's in the description below. So thank you very much. And thank you, Kimmy. Hump day. Oh, it is. It's Wednesday. I didn't remember that. Wow. I wasn't planning to do this show until somebody, I think it was Benny. And Benny's like, hey, haven't you seen that Scott Peterson stuff? I'm like, no. So Delaware has lots of cats. Really? Okay, then. Oh, cat who loves all of us. See? We can get up tomorrow morning. How is my stray? Oh, son of a gun. What the heck? I put out his food bowl. I really did. I put out his food bowl before I did the show. And the idea was that if he came in, whoa, shoot, I can't. Oh, you can't see it here. Shoot. Oh, wait a minute. I guess you can't see it now. Okay, wait a minute. So I put the food bowl out for this. It's not a stray cat. It's a feral cat. 5 months I've been working on this feral cat, helping it to be. So, okay, here we go. See, there's the empty bowl. It's right over there. And because I knew he comes in usually between 7 and 10 o'clock, and I didn't want to leave him without food. So he's a feral cat. So every night he usually comes into my bedroom. I leave the bedroom door open, and he comes in, and I have the food bowl, which has little dry food and half a can of wet food, and he eats that first. And then I have these, one of my patrons has sent me these chicken strips that he's in love with. I have 4 of them, which they're dehydrated, but I make them wet. And then I throw him the chicken strips, and I'm trying to get him closer and closer to me. And then I have the dry food waiting at the end of that. And it's been 5 months. And from the beginning, it took me a long time to get him into the house and then to the bedroom door. And now he's by my bed. But 5 minutes later, he still won't let me. If I can now move around. Before, if I moved, he just ran. But now I can move around. But if I try to hand him food, he runs away. So he's 100% feral. And I've never heard him meow. He's not interested in cat toys. He won't sleep in the cat bed. But he does come in my house. And he comes in the bedroom and he eats his food and he looks at me now. And then he goes out and he like sprays a little on the bedroom door frame to let other feral cats not to eat his food. So it's like a nature, like I'm on a nature show trying to see whether I can ever convince this cat to get anywhere near me. So it's fun. So ferals take years to socialize. Apparently, I've been on, say it's 5 months, almost 6 months now. But he does come next to my bed now. So it's getting closer. That's enough. I think he can take care of himself. Before he got to me, he is like his coat was beautiful. He's a mackerel tabby, and he's very gorgeous, and he's in good shape. But I just think he now realizes he's got a sweet deal, and he's using me. And but we'll see. I had an absolutely lovely cat growing up. I'll always love that cat. I've had cats all my life, but this is the first feral cat I've ever had. And it was purely accidental that he came in and ate my daughter's cat's food. And that's how I started working with him. So we'll see. But we shall see. Cicadas. Now, cicadas. I do like cicadas. They're pretty. But anyway, so he probably has enough food out there, but now he's found a sucker. So he's going to, so he's coming in. Anyway, that's it, guys. I should go. I'm going to have my dinner now. And I'm going to open up my bedroom door now, and I'll take his fancy food into the bedroom, and he will probably show up in about an hour to check out. Say, where's the rest of the food? So, but I'm like, look down. I never even saw him come in and eat. So he's sneaky. So anyway, thank you for being here. Again, if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. Check my playlists out. If you want to be at the live shows on a regular basis, please do join Patreon below. And all of you who supported the channel through Super Chat, thank you very much. I wasn't expecting that, and I'm not complaining. It'll really help, because the end of August is a very slow month. Let me tell you, it's not a good month. But anyway, thank you for being here, and loved all your comments on Scott Peterson. And thank you for those of you who are here to begin with and came back after all the technical difficulties. Thank you, Verizon. I'm glad you came back. See you soon. Bye.